Hi, Misha here.
Hey, this is Jay.
And it's time for our, well, for us, probably last Q&A of 2019, and for you, the first Q&A of 2020, but I think this might be number 10. And yeah, we have a good number of questions, and I apologize in advance for any coughing, hacking, or delirium, because I'm kind of getting over the crud, which I think a lot of people out there have had, but yeah, just apologize in advance for any gross noises.
So if you don't know what this is a Q&A. Basically, if you are a $1 or more patron over on our Patreon, which you can find the link in the description below, you can ask us a question, and then we'll read it out on air and do our best to answer it for you.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're $5 and up, you can kind of order or commission a video, which, yeah, we're starting to work on that come this year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we do them about every other month or so, and so this will be the most recent one. So we'll just jump right into it.
Might as well.
David asks, thanks for all the great content. Thank you. I'm a new Patreon supporter and appreciate y'all giving us the ability to ask you a question. I don't see a Q&A for December, so I figured to ask you this anyway. I noticed about a month ago that Arsenal has an available now banner over the 107R on their website with a price of $909.99. I saw a couple on KVAR over the summer, but can we expect to see the 107R become available again anytime soon? If so, do you think that that's a price we, the end purchaser, can expect to see? Not sure if you have any dealer insight. Thanks, and keep up the good work.
I don't see why the 107R along with the 107FR even won't come back. It's a relatively new product for them and whatnot. As far as their prices, they've always been pretty consistent. That one's gone up from $849 at the beginning to $879 to $909, which is a logical progression over the few years when you adjust for inflation and the value of the dollar. And while Arsenal does give a reasonable dealer discount, I don't think people realize just how little dealer discount really is. Dealers aren't making 30, 40, 50% markup. Most dealers are lucky to make 15% on a new gun. So while there is a dealer markup, it's not really enough of one to matter. Hang on a sec, I gotta go whap a cat. Earl, stop it.
Cats are going crazy.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably about the street price, maybe, a little less, $890 at the very least, but it's 900-ish.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't come back.
Eric says, happiest of holidays, fellas. Thanks, Eric, you too. Do you or Jay do professional consulting, i.e. has someone paid you for your specific technical opinion about a gun or a collection of them?
Anything on your end?
No. I mean, we answer questions all the time on the Patreon and sometimes in comments, and that's about the extent of my professional consultation.
And mine mostly just relates to my job. I mean, sometimes people ask me to, what's this gun worth type thing. And a lot of times when they want to sell a collection off, they'll ask me with, but it's mostly just being a dealer which I guess always kind of relates to it. But
yeah, you have you've gone and looked at some collections here and there.
Yeah, most of the time, when they ask what it's worth, it's just a prelude to selling it.
Right.
Or what you'd pay or whatever.
So that would be entirely from a dealer angle as like
which
you're
can
potentially looking at buying.
Which can get difficult because you can honestly tell them this gun's worth $300, but as a dealer, I can't put more than $200 in it because money,
Right.
Especially if you're buying a large collection. If you're just buying one or two guns, you can pay relatively close to what it's worth because you're not investing a lot of money and time. But if you're buying, say, 50, 60 guns,
right,
you can't do that and then pay to store them, pay to have them on your bills, and it adds up. So you have to, the more you buy, you have to kind of get more of a reasonable discount. And I think most people get that.
Sure. Let me see. Angel says, no question this time, but I would like to thank you both you guys for all your hard work. Both of you have given us so much of your time, and my knowledge on firearms has grown tremendously. So many gun YouTubers have gone private within the last year and have taken down their videos or demanded Patreon to access their content. You guys have my support, even though it may be small. Enjoy my Patreon.
Private.
Thanks, Angel.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but it's always more fun when you ask a question, so please feel free. Or, next time, just,
I think I've opened this up to, if you have a question or a comment.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, thanks for your support, Angel. Yeah, and he's been one. He's asked us a question, I think, on every previous Q&A.
Yeah.
So
I don't know who's gone private.
I don't know of any off the top of my head, but I know it's been. I mean, the market for gun channels on YouTube right now is tough anyway.
But it's tough for a lot of channels. To be fair, it's not just us. I think.
Right.
I'm hard pressed to think of channels that aren't.
Well, there have been some that have gotten
crunch.
just straight up shut down.
Yeah.
Like Chris had to start completely over again. That was some bull crap, and Tim has had a few instances where he's had to change all of his videos over to private to keep him from getting bounced off of YouTube.
On the other hand, trying to do things separate like Full 30
hasn't
really because this is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with the old school TV. If you weren't on cable or a network, if you were some weird obscure, it might be better, but what's the audience you're going to reach?
Right.
People come to YouTube.
It's been, I guess maybe this is a good time to say, it's been, there really hasn't been a good viable alternative because the platform right now, unfortunately, is YouTube. I mean, that's where everybody's going. That's the easiest way. That's where your audience is. So we still get the occasional questions, do you have backup plans? And we keep all of our videos backed up. So if something were to ever happen, we'd have a way to rehost them somewhere. But unless we start to see a real change in the direction from YouTube to another viable source, it's pretty much going to stay YouTube, unfortunately.
The problem is, YouTube started off just whatever, but people are talking about this, the COPA, whatever stuff. That doesn't, that doesn't just apply to YouTube. That applies to the internet. So whatever legislation and stuff comes out of that will apply to anyone posting on the internet. Yeah. So I think YouTube, it became popular and then it became more regulated. If something else comes out to replace it, if it becomes popular, it too will get regulated. That's kind of, look at Patreon.
Yeah.
Anytime something gets big, it just kind of happens.
Kaysen says, if you could implement one fundamental design change to both the AK and the AR, what would they be and why?
I'll let you go first on that.
Why do you let me go first? The first thing that I thought of for this was, for the AK especially, would be just a more ergonomic safety. The things like the Galil Ace has an ambidextrous safety, and it's really easy to get to with a thumb.
Or even the Arsenal Sam 7 has that safety.
Sure. So there are ways to get around that, but without having to design dock it myself, having more of a conventional AR type safety or something that was very easy to work would be dramatically preferable to me for the AK than just about anything else I could think of. I mean, drop free mags instead of straight in mags instead of rock and lock would be preferable as well. But that's something that I've trained through so much that it just doesn't really bother me anymore. So so fundamental redesign on the safety would be what I would pick for the AK. The AR is perfect in every way, so I don't have anything to contribute for that.
AK. You say safety, and I completely agree. But since you said that, I would say, a bolt hold open wouldn't be bad.
Yep.
Both an automatic,
systematic bolt hold open.
Yeah, an automatic one.
Janky mag one, right?
And to be fair, Yugoslavia tried that with their original M64.
Yep.
Now they ended up just defaulting to a bolt hold open mag as kind of a stopgap, and that's the inherent problem. Getting it in the gun, easy. I mean, the PSL has a very good one, but then you have to have mags to use it. Yeah. And people don't realize that. They go, just put it in. No, you can't just put it in. You have to have mags. So if
Yeah.
you did it, you'd have to have new mags, and that's where it falls apart.
Sure.
But if we're just talking about wishful thinking, both hold opens are always useful.
Yeah. Nothing really stood out to me initially, getting away from the jokey, the air is perfect thing. The first thing that I thought of was just piston, going to a short stroke piston. But we basically have that at this point with the Bren 2 and...
Yeah, and I mean,
and
it's not like direct
things.
impingement's inherently bad, and it does make it lighter weight and simple. Yeah, on the AR.
Because the AR, you can basically just make it about anything you want. You could do...
I know one annoying thing.
What's that?
On the bolt, the cotter pin, a retained bolt pin wouldn't be bad. Like the push pins in the lower.
Yeah.
Like a retained pin.
Yeah, like a captured pin.
Yeah, because when you go to take the bolt apart, it seems like that cotter pin's always and it gets bent too sometimes.
Yeah.
So if it were retained, so I'm going to go with a bolt with the retained pin, and I believe the HK416 has that.
It's amazing to me, like, you think that would be a bigger point of failure than what it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a retaining pin.
Because it like the first time I pulled a firing pin on an AR, I was shocked at how easily that just kind of comes out and goes back in. But it's just such a small basic design on that it's kind of interesting. But you would think it wouldn't work as well as it does.
But I think that's the thing. The AR has been very, very much upgraded. Like if you look at an original AR15 601 type and you look at a modern one, all the lines are there, but all the details are different. Like they've changed the bolt, they've changed the firing pin, they've changed the gas key.
Right.
They've upgraded all the little parts to kind of work out a lot of the bugs.
Yeah, right.
So it's pretty well perfected by now, as much as any machine can be. I'm not saying the AK isn't, but
right.
I don't know. It seems like they've, and of course with the upgrade availability in the ARs today, you don't like the grip, put a different one on. You don't like the stock.
I was thinking lightweight, but it's like the first ARs were actually pretty lightweight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you get much lighter.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyler says, happy holidays. Thank you for making all your knowledge available for future generations. I have a Bulgarian AK-74 kit, and with the recent price these kits are going for currently on Gunbroker, it has made me want to sell it. I plan on building it as a modern 105, but now the value being close to double what I paid for it, is it worth parting up a numbers matching kit to build a 105, or am I better off selling it and investing in something more modern like the Sharps Brothers 545 receiver?
I wouldn't say necessarily sell the kit, but like you said, it is a numbers matching kit, and they're getting hard to find if you have the original barrel. If I were to build it, I would just build it as a 74. I would definitely not cut up that barrel. If it's a barrelless kit, I'd feel a little more free about it, but yeah, I mean, I would probably either just build it as a 74, keep it as a kit, or sell it. I probably would not build it as a 105 at this point in the market.
Gotcha.
Because the kits we're at a point now, and also too, kits are worth as much as kits now, basically, as complete built guns. So by building it, you're not really adding value.
Right. You're adding expense.
Right. At most, you'll get about the same.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I know with you, with kits, it's almost become not economical for what kits tend to go for in a lot of cases. So, yeah, it makes sense to me to roll the kit and try to get an assembled AK closer.
Yeah, I mean, I know 104s are kind of nutty now, but Segas and 545 are still out there. And if you're doing a complete build, getting like a Sega Sporter and 545, I think you can still score those for 800 if you look around.
Yeah.
And if you got the right gas block, and I think you could probably, and keep in mind too, a Bulgarian AK-74 has Bulgarian AK-74 parts. An AK-105 is based on the AK-74M, AK-100 series. The details are so different. And I've done a video in the past outlining how like scope rails are different, top covers are different, bolt carriers are different. So individually the differences are tiny, but put them all together and it's really easy to spot an AK-105 built from a Bulgarian 74 kit versus converted from a Sega. So I think if you wanted a decent 105, I would just start with the Sega because you get most of the parts you need right there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Ryan Gonzalez says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's, Misha and Jay. Thanks to you as well. My question and or request was for more information on East German Makarovs. What years were they built, what factories, and so on.
And I brought mine out because of your question and another. Nothing special about my gun. Makarov. This was called the Pistol M in East Germany. And basically it's the same as any other, except it has its own grips without the star, and it doesn't have the staple for the lanyard. These are known for very nice fit and finish, which is funny because they started off as kind of haphazard. The early German Makarov, or East German Makarovs, DDR Makarovs, along with the early German AKs, were kind of crappy. Like they had to redo the assembly lines, and they had kind of a hard time getting a handle on them. To answer your question, seems like theoretically you can find guns that date back to 1958, but really it seems like you don't start to see the date codes frequently until 1960. So I think that's when they really got production going strong. You see a lot of 61, 62s, and it seems like production was over by 1965, give or take. There might be some trailers, but you know, the way communists mass produce things, I could definitely see over a 5 to 7 year run them cranking out enough pistols to pretty much do them. Mm-hmm. And then those were made by the Ernst Thälmann factory, and Ernst Thälmann was a communist hero. And then after reunification, because Germany needed money, they assembled more using mostly leftover parts with some new production parts at the Simson Seoul factory. And those are kind of interesting because they're really the only German Makarovs. Everything else is, East German, which gets into a whole CNR debate, frankly. But yeah, as far as import numbers, we don't really know, and we really don't know with surplus. There's very few guns we know, unless it was just a small import run. We just don't know. Like, importers don't typically release their numbers for both legal and political reasons.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. They're cool.
Yeah, I mean, they're nice. I mean, they are nicer made, but not head and shoulders. Like,
right.
We both have Bulgarians. Trigger's a little bit slicker. Bluing can be a little slicker. But, Russian. I just like Makarovs. I like them all.
Right. Yeah, Makarovs are cool. Yeah, and these, I think they said that that's possible. Maybe a few 100,000 were made, but we have no idea really how many were imported.
Yeah, I mean, how many survived the years of communism? And of course, right. East Germany was a major exporter.
Yep.
So I bet they gave a lot of their Makarovs or sold a lot of their Makarovs away. Yep. It's kind of funny, I think, about the Cold War. Of course, you have kind of Russia and China on their side as 1 and 2, and you have kind of America on our side, but surprisingly, France was like number 3 in the Western world for arms export during the Cold War, and East Germany was number 3.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of it was them kind of being used as kind of a proxy, but still, yeah, they were a major arms exporter. So just because, let's say, they made 600,000, they might have given half away to the Balkan states. We don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, they're cool guns. They always were expensive. I remember very clearly in Shotgun News back when you could get a Bulgarian for 100 to 150, depending on exact condition. The East Germans were $200, $299.
Yeah.
They've always been more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We're about halfway through the questions now, so we're going to take a short break.
Yep, I just need a respite, guys. Like I said, I'm getting over some crud, but be right back with you. And we're back.
We're back. Just like the dinosaurs in that one animated movie that was bad.
You mean the one where they all died at the end?
I think that was just the Dinosaurs TV show. There was a movie called... here, let me pull up the IMDb and I'll tell you. I'm just kidding. We're going to get back into the Patreon stuff.
Damn it.
Alrighty. We left off with German Makarovs.
No. It's Makarov, don't you know?
Yeah. You've got the voice for it right now.
No kidding.
Guy says, Merry Christmas, boys. Thank you, Guy, to you as well. What, in your opinion, is the best representation of an AR-15, be it either rare or readily available? If rare, what would be the best of the most available options? Happy New Year.
Now, I had this question when we don't pre-read these much in advance. We just basically do them right before these videos.
Yeah, usually over lunch.
Yeah, usually over lunch. Today I had a lemon chicken, and you had...
I had a cashew chicken from a Thai place. Some coconut soup. Pretty good.
The owner of Atlantic Firearms jokes that every time he hears from me, we talk, that it's always based on food. So I have to keep that up.
Right.
Anyway, I had a question about the question. When you say AR-15, in my head, I'm thinking 20-inch gun.
Yep.
Rifle. And I'm also thinking maybe you meant early style, like Armorlight AR-15 Colt era, but I'm not sure.
So what I said was, how about whatever comes to your mind, and that's what we'll go with.
So what comes to your mind first?
So the first thing that I thought of, I had some AR builds that I ended up parting with because I'm not really a huge AR fan, even though I have several. And so I kind of wanted what I felt was like the best representation of a current modern production military M4. So I ended up getting the Colt LE6920 US SOCOM, which is the 14.5-inch barrel with the pinned-on flash hider. And then it has the Knight's Armament rail and all that stuff, and the U.S. property sites, U.S. property marks, and all that stuff. So that, for me, was kind of what I consider to be the current quintessential M4. And they're really smooth and really nice shooting guns. Definitely better. I've been able to put quite a bit of money into one of a build and got it to be where it was really smooth and tight feeling. But there's just something always about the Colt ARs that just feel different or feel better than just about any other AR that I've handled. So
yeah, but the finish isn't perfect.
The finish was not perfect for sure, but it's just very representative of what I picture to be a modern military AR. Second to that would be the my Brownells BRN 601. Which is the a reproduction of the Colt 601. So
kind of the early vibe.
The Air Force slab side upper, the triangle handguards and all that stuff.
I'm glad you said that. I have something to give you. Chris sent his furniture for you to paint.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
These are very off the cuff, guys. This is very sincere.
Sure. I can do that.
Yeah, that's where it came.
But yeah, so that sort of to me is my view or version of like the retro gun that I had always wanted before I started getting really into guns was that 601. So those are my two probably biggest go-to ARs and what I consider to be quintessential ARs. So
yeah, and if we're talking early, I mean the 601 is probably the first, maybe the only or a mass production attempt at a 601 type. Yeah, you could build your own from Nodak receivers. Now, early SP1s are very close, but they have the large pin in the front and a few other things. And the later SP1s get in production, kind of the further off, they're not really, because they maintain that slab side upper and lower, which is not really analogous to anything military.
Yeah.
But still yet, I would say if you can find an SP1 in good shape, I would say, good as in used but still solid for 15, I would get that. Or, practically new with accessories for under, say, 18. But otherwise, yeah, I'd probably go with the Brownells for, 12-ish.
Yeah.
That's the rifle. As far as, modern stuff, there aren't a lot of 20-inch military-style options. I'm a big fan of the Colt AR-15A4. I know it's not perfect out of the box, but it's a good base. And when they were in production, when you could just get them at regular prices, they weren't a lot more than $1,100.
Right.
FN also does a pretty solid rifle, but not a lot of other companies do.
The military collector's edition?
Not even that. They do a basic one.
Okay.
Because the military collector's is like $1,500, so that's why I didn't necessarily mention it. But you can, I forget the model number, but FN makes an FN15 that's basically the A4, with the plastic handguard and either no carry handle or removable. I forget how it
Would you consider, because his question specifically is around best representation of an M15. So would you think the collector's edition, if you were going to get like pinnacle of M16 representation, do you think
either the Colt or the FN if you know, the FN out of the box is there. The Colt, if you put on the right handguard, is a great representation of an A4, which is, you know, the last. Now, as far as an A2, I can't think of a good one. I mean, so there's some of the older builds, but Colt never really did an exact one.
Yep.
And yeah, that's hard to do. So surprisingly, and with the A1 as well, Colt never did a true A1 semi, except for those reissues. But we don't really consider those. Those are just, yeah, definitely. So yeah, for those Brownells.
And keep in mind too, our perspective is coming at this from more military, historical, and you know, collecting purposes than. So you notice neither of us mentioned BCM or something along those lines, Novesk or whatever it happens to be. I don't know who else making the race guns for the ARs and stuff.
And to be fair, I do own a Daniel Defense because of the Mark 18, because that was the closest to a Mark 18 Mod 1.
And I have a build that I built myself just from different quality manufacturing parts that ended up, you know, with a free float barrel and a muzzle brake and everything that I would consider to be a go-to AR. But you know, our perspective of what's the best representation of an AR-15, like those get it the closest as far as, you know.
Yeah, we're thinking military. And I'm thinking specific, because I get, and it's not because I'm being specifically anal, I have a lot of fun making retro guns as close as possible. Like when you find that last little part, it's just, it's enjoyable.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Justin asks, do you have any rare or limited out-of-production handguns from the 70s and 80s?
A few. I brought a couple out that just kind of jumped out at me. This is one. This is my Walther, if you want to be a dick, or Walther for normal people. P88, 9mm. It's one of the Wunder 9s from the 80s. They started work on this around 80. They actually started doing these for the XM9 trials, which didn't last very long in. So they took the design, kind of finished it out, introduced it to the public in 87. Didn't make all that many, about 10,000. Quit making them by, some sources say 94, some say 95, 96. But either way, mid-90s they were out of production. But this is a police surplus one out of Israel that Century imported. Pretty cool gun. By today's standards, very standard, but yeah, it's definitely 80s style and not common. If you find the commercials, because they did import commercial versions of these, they tend to be rather pricey, but I'll go surplus. Here's another one. This is from the 60s, 70s. This is my French PA, or sometimes it was just P15. Also a 9. This is a very chunky little pistol. It's single action only, which is kind of very traditional, but actually it has a 15 round mag, and it was the first pistol to have a larger capacity mag than the high power to be commercially sold. So it's kind of pretty advanced in the magazine. It also uses a rotating barrel. But in the trigger system, it's pretty conventional. And these were used kind of limited unofficial numbers by the French military and police. They were also carried by the Finnish border guard. But these are pretty common in the 70s. They made a few of these. The production run ended around 1980, but I think it's a neat gun. I've owned several over the years, and I've always thought they were cool, and they have a very interesting recoil impulse. But yeah, there's a couple I just kind of saw and grabbed for this video.
The only thing I could think of is my P83. I wouldn't necessarily say that those are rare.
Your Makarov?
Yeah, right.
It was funny as up until 2009 they were, because they didn't bring. That's kind of how surplus is. What is really rare can suddenly not be rare if they bring in over a big import batch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the Polish P83.
Yeah,
they're cool. That's it's a very modern seeming gun in 9x18.
And I don't know if you have one now, but you had a VZ82, I think.
No, I don't. Never had a VZ82.
I thought you just had one.
Nope, never had one.
But yeah, that's another one that I've always thought it's really a cool modern Makarov. But yeah, we're not. I mean, I own pistols, but I don't know. I have more of a. I don't have the collect them all mentality with pistols like I might some rifles,
Yeah.
But
Makes
it's not to say, because they all shoot pretty similar.
Yeah.
And a lot of times by the 80s, they're starting to kind of all kind of copy that Browning design. And so I tend to have more older pistols, because by then they're mechanically very different.
Yeah, basically once you get out of World War I, pre-World War II, when every country was making their own design of handgun, they start to homogenize a lot more. So
they really do. Yeah, they start to kind of blend in the 50s, 60s, and then a lot of countries stopped making small arms for the most part. And,
Lucian says, "Hey Misha and Jay, thanks for another great year of content. All right, maybe a controversial question, but I'd like to hear your take. Was there any actual connection between Kalashnikov concern in Russia and Kalashnikov USA? Like all of us, I've read a lot of different rumors and speculation. One interesting rumor that seems plausible was that they were in the middle of finalizing everything to officially become the stateside version of Kalashnikov concern, much like H&K USA, CZ USA, etc., but then the CISA section sanctions dropped right in the middle of it, which forced them to separate. Could you shed some insight?"
I am not at liberty to say. I think, and people are being intentionally pretty vague on this for legal reasons, I don't think that Kalashnikov USA predates the sanctions, because they were more of a get around this. Because remember, the sanctions came down on Nizhmash in early to mid 2014. It started to happen in March, and they were officially sanctioned in June. So Kalashnikov USA really didn't become a thing. Now, of course, they were RCM, which they still technically are today. But I think it was a way to try to get around the sanctions while still obeying the letter of the law. Because looking at the Sega 9 and looking at the KR9, there's just no way. Are the parts Russian? No, they're probably made here, but they have to have some kind of drawings, tooling, and if they got them over before a certain point, it's okay. And I think Kalashnikov and Russia's protest was very politically convenient. But I don't think we'll ever know, and that's a good thing, because I think if the whole story were publicly known, we might lose something. So it might be one of those things, better not to poke the bear.
Yeah. Alrighty. Hyatt asked a question that actually a lot of people asked on the Fox rifle video that we did here pretty recently. Any word on when more WBP Fox rifles will be coming in for sale through Atlantic Firearms? I have an Arsenal Sam 7R and I'm looking for a good stamped receiver AK. Thank you guys for the excellent videos.
I feel like Veer from Babylon 5 just waving at the camera. They're on order. As you know, the first couple of batches were good, but they had a problem with the paint. And they did improve it, but Atlantic was kind of on them to make it better. That's one thing I can tell you. Arms of America and Atlantic Firearms really have been riding WBP to produce quality over quantity. So it doesn't mean a slower process, but hopefully a better product. But they are on order, and it's hard to say. That's all you can do is just have them on order, and when they get shipped, they get shipped.
Yeah.
With it being winter in Poland, I'm afraid we may not see any till the spring, but that's just totally speculation.
It's interesting that we had as many people asking us can you buy them when we did the last video, because it seemed to me like the general reception when the WBPs first came out was like the tuber guys and the community were generally pretty excited about it and positive on it, but it seemed like more general gun audiences that weren't as involved or heavily involved or deeply involved in the AK community seemed to be a little more reserved, I guess, about it. Maybe it's because of getting burned with IO and all that crap before. But then, of course, there's always the propensity of the internet to crap all over new stuff anyway. So it's kind of interesting to me to see so many people asking now that they can't find them, now that they're kind of...
Well, I mean, here's the thing, too. Every time we or anyone else posts anything about the WBP Fox, I have a hard time. It just seems hard finding an unhappy owner, and there's enough owners out there. Sure. Not a huge owner, but there's a few hundred of us.
Yeah.
The worst thing we can say is the paint's crap, which at the very worst puts it on par with Arsenal.
Right.
I mean, I know it sucks, but I mean, repaint it. But again, they're fixing it. But it's just when you can't find unhappy owners.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Well, it's that. To me, I feel like it's, again, with this whole, how it seems like Wassers were crap, and then nobody could get them, and then they came back
it's
$200 more, and now they're the best AK ever.
Yeah, people will complain that the Fox is expensive. Compared to what? I mean, you can get an unconverted one just as imported from Arms of America for $750, or you can get a converted one, depending on which furniture set you want and accessories, from Atlantic from $900 to $1,200. I mean, whatever. That's not cheap, but it's still cheaper than most arsenals, and it's not much more than a Wasser. So, compared to the other offerings on the market in 2019, 2020, I don't really feel there's much of a premium.
Yeah.
But yeah, there hopefully will be. Atlantic's always a good source, Arms of America, and Ozark Bear Arms. I typically get them in stock and convert them. Not in the huge numbers, but a few. Mine
is a converted.
Yeah.
Mine's not an Arsenal, or sorry, an Atlantic job. It's it's one we sent to a gunsmith. Okay, Zach says, what is the best U.S.-made AK barrel on the market? Thanks, guys.
Green Mountain and
who else is making AK barrels? Is that what you're trying to figure out?
Whoever made the ones for those AMD 63s, not those guys. No, being serious, I would have to say the Chrome Line Green Mountain is probably as good as it gets.
There were some that were floating around that they're called sporter barrels that they weren't U.S. made, but they were import.
There were Romanians and there were FB Radums.
Okay, right.
The Romanians were threaded, but didn't have a gas port, I think, and the FB Radums weren't threaded but had a gas port. So basically they were brought over as sporter and then not totally finished out.
Yeah.
But they were chrome lined and rifled and all that.
Yeah, those seem like they were pretty good barrels.
But he asked U.S., but yeah, those are foreign.
Sure.
That would still be my choice, either one of the Romies or the Polish.
Right.
But if you want U.S., I don't know that there's really a lot better than the Green Mountain. And Green Mountain is good that they do a lot of variations, like RPK, PSL.
And they've been doing them for a while too, right?
Yeah, they were pretty much. They've been pretty much. What's funny is the owner of that company was an Uzi enthusiast, and that's one of his early pride projects was Uzi barrels. So
Uzi enthusiast.
Yeah.
Okay. Ryan says, is the standard PM safe to carry with one in the chamber with the safety on? Is the firing pin blocked? So more on the mechanics of the Makarov.
Well, it is a floating firing pin, but when you lock it, it doesn't float as much. So it is blocked, and it was designed to be carry safe, but it was also designed to be carry safe by the standards of Soviet 1950s.
Sure.
I have reservations about surplus guns being daily carry guns because you just don't know their history, how they've been worked on, how they've been used, if they've been abused. With so many inexpensive carry guns today, I don't think a Makarov or anything else would be my first choice. But nominally, yes, it's supposed to be carry safe with the safety on.
Gotcha. But
keep in mind, in a holster, things can get flicked off pretty easy, especially how the Makarov is vertical. So, yeah, I mean, how many 1911 carry guys thought they were cocked and locked all day only to take their gun out of their holster at night, realizing the safety got clicked off sometime during the day.
Right.
So I kind of have a problem with relying on a manual safety with a carry gun. I think something, with Glock style safeties is honestly probably safer in the modern sense.
Yeah, and asterisk, we aren't telling you what to do as far as how you carry your gun.
No, but when you give any kind of advice, you have to kind of err on the side of being cautious, especially publicly.
Yeah. Matt says, happy holidays, Misha and Jake. To you as well, Matt. Thank you. How would you compare the quality of WBP Fox AKs to those manufactured by Arsenal Bulgaria Circle 10? Also, What do you make of Americans' preoccupation with steel-reinforced AK mags, considering the fact Poland happily uses all polymer mags like those seen in the Barrel and Archer series? Thanks for all you guys do, and have a very happy new year to you and yours.
I'll let you hit that one first.
So we actually it's kind of interesting because this came in before we did the Fox video and is completely coincidental. Because in that video, actually, I say that I think that the WBPs are maybe even a little smoother than the Russians that I own, and you said you like them better than the stamped Arsenal selections, correct?
Correct.
So,
and that's the Wasser versus Fox video we put out at Christmas.
Right. So that should be a pretty good indication, I think, of what our opinion of the WBPs are over the Arsenal. I can't speak to, I don't have a stamped Arsenal in 7.62 by 39, so I can't compare those. All I have are 5.45, but yeah, that should give you at least some indication, as we think pretty highly of those compared to Arsenals.
Yeah, the milled Arsenals are still pretty well tops. I mean, they're very smooth guns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've said, and I'm getting more and more of this opinion as prices go up more and more on the stamped Arsenals. If you're going to get Arsenal, I think milled is where it's at.
Yeah.
It's like if you go to a steakhouse and you order steak, that's their thing. If you go to a steakhouse and order like a grilled chicken, it's probably going to be good, but not their specialty.
Right.
And I think that's how stamped versus milled ends up being with Arsenal. It's just,
makes sense.
Milled is their thing.
Yeah, they do it extremely well. Like, you're going to be fine probably with a stamped Arsenal, but milled is what they do very, very well.
Conversely, Fox, WBP, their bread and butter are stamped 7.62 39 guns. And that's kind of why FB Radom lets them do their thing.
Yeah.
Is FB Radom has no interest in doing the AKM.
Yeah.
So, they do the traditional, Radom does the modern, and everyone's happy in Poland.
Yep.
We hope.
And then the mag question.
Yeah, I think the American obsession with steel reinforcements is pretty silly. Not just Poland, but Serbia with their modern M85, M90, M95, M21. A lot of their mags aren't steel reinforced. A lot of the Chinese 223 mags aren't.
Yep.
I think it's one of those things that makes Americans feel better, but it doesn't really seem necessary if you have your polymer mix down.
Yeah.
And see, early polymer mags, they didn't always do that. Yep. But once they pretty much figured that out years ago. But keep in mind, a mag is considered a wear part to a military. It's a disposable component of a system. They don't expect them to last all that long.
Right. Whereas with us, we want to still be using the same year-old magazine and a modern gun and expect it to work 100% every time.
But we're also paying retail prices for buying 1 to 10 at a time, whereas the military is buying 10,000 to 100,000 at a time. So obviously they're paying a lot less money.
We've teased it a few times, but Misha's going to do a video on surplus magazines. But we were using in that WBP Fox video that we just did, we were using some old Romanian surplus magazines that looked like they had gone dragged behind a tank for a few dozen years.
But they were rare variants because they had the little lanyard, so it's still cool.
But it's interesting because I picked out two. One was very rusty, completely coated in rust. And I cleaned it up, and it cleaned up fine, except there's no finish left on it. It's just bare metal. And then the other one...
It's silver.
...looked pretty good, but had feeding problems because the follower was hanging up. And what it was hanging up on a small little ding on the outside of the body that was just enough to deform the inside to make the follower catch on its way up and cause feeding issues.
Yeah, just
and to look out on the outside, you'd think it was fine, but then you could look on the inside, or you could even run your finger up at it, and you could feel where the dent was. On a polymer magazine, one of two things would have happened. Whatever caused that dent, it would have either bounced right back out because it's polymer, and so it has flexibility, or it just would have cracked.
Yeah.
And you would have been able to see right away this magazine is not good anymore.
What's funny is even when they crack, they still work for a while. I mean, because
Sure, like I've seen
at least when it cracks, it doesn't have a dent. I mean,
I've seen videos of people who've shot their magazine, to test it, just kind of a ridiculous thing. And as long as they didn't hit the spring and it just went through, they still worked fine.
I think the way most of the militaries do it, they pretty much say if it happens in the field, you can keep using it, but just swap it in the next time you get to the depot.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like a limited use thing after it's cracked, but you can still use it.
Yeah.
Crack isn't the end of the world. It could probably even be mended. I mean, it's plastic.
Right. So it seems like it's the obsession with steel reinforcements and all that stuff seems to be a little overblown. I'm not saying they're a bad thing to have.
No.
But, we also have plenty of polymer magazines that work just fine.
Yeah, it seems like the advantage is pretty limited, frankly.
Yep. Exactly. All right. J-Man asks, everyone loves to debate the best battle rifle, G3 FAL M14. Assuming the SVD was issued in smaller numbers to the above rifles, would it be fair to include the SVD in this debate? 2, do you know if we might ever see... let's just do one at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, so J-Man, we'll hit number 1 first. SVD is a battle rifle.
Not really, because it's not. All the ones you listed have at least 20 round capacity. They have at least select fire is a theoretical option, and they were built to be issued to essentially everyone.
Sure.
The SVD was built to be issued to about 1 in every 12 men at the very most.
Right.
10 round mag, semi-auto only, and a scope was standard. It was always meant to be an extension to a squad on the battlefield. Call it a DMR or a sniper rifle. By American terminology today, it's definitely a DMR.
DMR, yeah.
But, sniper rifles, what most people call it. So it was never meant, just like the PSL, for that. So no, I don't think so. I think they had exactly what they wanted in the AK, with the only real difference being a shorter cartridge, shorter case.
Yep. Second question from J-Man. Do you know if we might ever see new RPK variants imported in the foreseeable future?
Well, obviously Russia's out.
Mm-hmm.
China's out. Not all that many countries made RPKs, and not all that many countries still make them today. Options we could get, I mean, theoretically, I'm not saying we will, but we could get Arsenal RPKs, milled.
Which are awesome.
Yep. And we could get Romanian. Of course, more AES-10Bs. Sure, why not? What I've always wanted to see, AES-10-2B. Actually, AES-2B. A 5.45.
Oh, yeah, sure. That'd be cool.
Which is a little different. It has a few unique features to the regular. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it'll happen, but I'd be really happy if it did.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know what else could be. I mean, Poland never did the RPK. Mm-hmm. East Germany never did. I guess we could see an M72 from Serbia, from Zastava, because all the M72 is an M70 with the different barrel.
Yeah.
They're very similar. So, yeah, I guess that's another option. So I would say M72, an AES in different caliber, or a milled out of Bulgaria. But that's about it. But I don't know that any of them... I love RPKs, but I also recognize they have a very limited market.
Right.
So...
Yep.
Yeah.
They're cool, though.
Oh, they're definitely cool.
Number 3, any thoughts / expectations on what 2020 might have for new gun releases and imports? As always, thank you for the content and dedication. The gun community is truly better with the both of you in it. Thanks, J-Man.
I didn't realize the gun community was that hard up. I'll let you try that one first.
You had mentioned a 930M, potentially, from Mossberg. Mag-fed 930 as a 2020 potential at one point. That would be cool to see.
Yeah.
I don't really know of anything else, though.
Yeah, with SHOT Show, we are planning to do a SHOT Show video, guys, once we do a little break in a bit. But,
Yep.
I don't know, I feel like we're kind of getting most of what's... You got to realize there's not a lot being made out there in the world. And most of what's been made, we've seen some auto versions of. We've got every AR15 under the sun. Okay, here's one. I'd like to see if Kalashnikov USA has some rifle guns.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, 7.62 or 223 or 5.45. I'd be down to see if they have any anything. It's not an import, but it's kind
They've
of
just
close.
done shotguns so far, and then now the KR and KP9,
Yep.
right? And those have done pretty well for them, I think.
I think so. It seems to be.
I mean, the reception is very positive from the people who've gotten their hands on them.
Yeah. So.
So, yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, he mentioned we're not going to SHOT Show, but what we'll do is sort of do a go through, maybe sit down kind of like this. We haven't really finalized a format, but go through, sit down like this, and kind of go read the new headlines and announcements of new products, and kind of give our opinion on them.
And I have a few people, the friends that are going, that'll be kind of bird dogs for me. And
sure.
There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that has to remain confidential, but what can be. I would also say, and again, it's not an import exactly, but if what Brownells comes out with 2020.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But I have a feeling it might be a pretty conservative year because election.
Oh, yeah.
So probably not the best year to launch a big new product.
Right, makes sense. Ryan says, there's rumors of East German marked Mosins. Is this fact or fiction?
Like property marked, sure, because they went to East Germany. They're going to have their symbol. As far as manufacture, and I could be wrong, I'm not a Mosin expert, but I don't think they made any. I think they just had them, and so they probably refurbished them.
Yeah.
But I don't think so.
Transfers more than likely from other countries.
Yeah, from Russia and whatnot, because they definitely used them. Of course, East Germany used a lot of World War II German guns in the interim, whereas a lot of countries didn't. So before they went over to the AK, they were STG-44s and some I had a K-43 that was East German property marked. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And K-98s even.
Sure.
So that's mostly. They had some SKSs,
Right.
East Germany did. But yeah.
Well, we're going to take another short break and come right back, and we'll finish out.
By short break, we mean about 4 hours.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be dark when we come back.
And we are back.
Yeah, this is, you didn't see it, this is like take 3.
So this is what happens when you have to try to do these during a work day.
Yeah. Alrighty, Stevie W says, love the channel and love these Q&As. I travel for a living, and these long-form videos are a staple for long drives.
Yeah, I like when channels do long lists too, because I can just set them on and have them play while I was doing boxing stuff.
Yep. How viable is the shotgun today on the modern battlefield? How about in a shit hits the fan situation?
I mean, it's viable in its limited use, like as a door breacher or hinge buster. Yep. And they just have a bunch of old pumps. That's why I brought out this Police Surplus 870. 20-inch barrel, rifle sights, just wooden blued, and this one, they have a lot of Mossbergs too. It was never just a standard issue GI weapon though, because of the limited range, and of course even buckshot spreads out pretty quick and didn't have a lot of accuracy just coming out of a barrel, and so it has its applications for sure. Yeah,
and I think going along the lines with that, I mean my primary home defense guns are shotguns. I mean that's generally what I keep around the house as a go-to gun. So I've mentioned before, my 930 SPX Tactical has a 16-inch barrel with a heat shield with it's not really pinned on, I don't think. It's more of a 2-inch breacher.
Permanently attached.
It's permanently attached. So the barrel length is actually 18 inches, but you know what I'm saying? Like the barrel itself actually ends right before the breacher.
They call it a standoff barrel.
It's really neat. It's very handy, very lightweight, and very fast. So I think it makes for a great, self-defense type shotgun.
One problem with shotguns in a combat situation is how relatively heavy and how bulky the ammo is. You can carry about 3 or even 4 223 cartridges for the cost of a 12-gauge shell.
Right. Yep. Also, I previously asked when the latest point in history would an army be better equipped with Ruger 1022s with 25-round magazines than their standard issue rifle. Artillery, machine guns, etc. stay the same. Misha said just before the American Civil War. Jay said right about that time. What about modern tube-fed pump shotguns using modern buckshot and slugs? So my general thinking of that is, I mean, for one, I think having use of that modern shotgun with modern ammunition would probably kind of change the way, especially issued in a primary weapon type situation, would kind of change the way the battles were fought. going historically, because for one thing, you're also dealing with much faster reloads at that point than, just a cap and ball musket. So, but at the same time, like Misha has said previously, when we were talking about this earlier today, shotguns have been around for a while. Scatterguns have been around for a while.
Yeah, they started off as a blunderbuss. The idea basically just a pipe with gunpowder and crap shoved in the end of it to go boom.
So it's realistically, it's not. I don't know if it would be a game changer until you start getting into,
pretty old,
much more primitive weapons.
Because the big advantage isn't the shotgun part. That's even that it's the reload part.
The reload part.
And by the Civil War, you're starting to see lever action and tube fed rifles coming onto the market.
So you had said possibly War of 1812 around that time?
Yeah,
ish.
Maybe? I think that's when it would have been, because that's when it's multiple cartridges would have been a big advantage.
Right.
And also, by the Civil War and whatnot, you've got pretty good rifling becoming a standard, meaning that riflemen...
At some point you have to have the range.
Yeah, riflemen would be able to outrange a shotgun.
Yeah.
But if you go back far enough, then you're losing that as well.
Right.
Now, I've said, too, that if you have modern cartridges, you also have modern black powder. And anyone worth their salt would just immediately take the powder out of those cartridges and put it behind a rifle bullet.
Yeah.
Because you're really, taking a specific tool. The shotgun's never been and never will be a mass issuance gun.
Right, yeah.
It's a specialist gun.
Yep. Raymond says, "Good morning, gentlemen. I have a Sporterized Saiga 545 that originally had a thumbhole stock and unthreaded barrel that I had converted to a stock and threaded barrel. I recently saw that Hornady is offering 545 brass ammo and purchased 5 boxes, which I have yet to shoot. I've heard concerns about shooting brass through a 545 rifle, and that these rifles were designed to run steel case exclusively, or mostly exclusively. Your thoughts or concerns on shooting Hornady brass? The main reason for buying it was to have flexibility to shoot at indoor range. Thank you and happy holidays, Christmas, Xmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa to you as well, Raymond. Thank you."
It's not an AR, it's an AK. It really doesn't care. I mean, yeah, it was made for steel case, but brass isn't going to be bad. I mean,
yeah.
Hornady imports their brass anyway. It's not made here.
I wouldn't have, again, asterisk, do what you want to do with your own shot, with your own gun, but I don't have any issues running brass through any kind of AK at all. So, I don't even know. That whole, if you shoot steel and you switch to brass thing that's
been disproven.
Yeah.
I just shoot whatever you want through it. I mean, you're not gonna. Yeah, I wouldn't worry at all about it. That's a cold hammer forged chromite barrel, very high grade. Yeah.
Sometimes you shoot a 223 and a 7.62 by 39. It happens.
I don't know when.
No.
I didn't put that in the blooper reel.
No, you didn't. Travis says, "Hey Jay, hey Misha." Hey Travis. "Hope you guys are doing well. I've heard that WBP is supposedly trying to bring a 5.56 rifle to the U.S. market. What are your thoughts on this? Would you like to get one? Keep up the good work, guys. You are one of my favorite channels on YouTube." Thanks, Travis. So, would I like to get one? So I've already got an Archer made by Radom, whatever it's pronounced. Bullish. I'm not Polish, so I don't know. So the function, the use of a WBP made 5.56 rifle is much more uninteresting to me. But from a market standpoint, I would 100% love to see WBP do a barrel clone. I think that they would do really well, especially now that the original IO imports are pretty well spoken for at this point.
And I think that's a big deal. Is it going to be an AKM that just fires 223, or is it going to be built with parts from FB Radom and be a barrel clone?
And
I think
seems
that
like it would be easier. It seems like it would be fairly easy to do with their relationship with, which who knows what all the politics are behind that, but it seems like that would be something obtainable for them to be able to do, because when you look at the WBP Fox rifles and everything, how they're notched already out for and have the rear tang for a barrel mount, I mean, they're already pretty close, really. So, if they could make a clone of that, that would be pretty cool. But again, I've already got an Archer, so
yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily say I would like to get
well,
one.
then one benefit if they do an Archer or a Barrel clone is that's a tested design. We know
Sure.
it works. A lot of the 223 AKs out there were kind of retrofitted for the civilian market, and that's where they're not 100% reliable, or they have other odd issues.
Right.
So if it was done right, and I would, again, since I have an Archer, if they did a pistol, like a mini barrel pistol, that'd be neat.
Yeah.
But I think it would also be good because finally it'll give these guys who keep saying they'd buy this or that if it were in 223, 5.56, kind of a, put up or shut up.
Yeah.
It gets a little old because people are saying that they would buy a 223 AK, which traditionally they weren't very
Right.
popular. I mean,
nobody did buy
they
them.
didn't buy them. But that was then. This is now. It would be interesting to see if, in fact, people would buy them now, or if it's just internet talk.
Yeah. Oh, I'd buy it if it took Stanag mags. If it took my AR mags, I'd buy it.
Well, that would be that's a thing that they would just have to.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what people do.
Well, you can buy these. The Arms of America has these over here. These Archer mags aren't very expensive. And,
yeah.
no, I don't want to have to buy another mag. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
You'd rather pay $200 for an adapter than buy mags that at most cost double what a Magpul does.
Right.
Yeah. See, I'd rather just have the right mag for the right gun because that's usually how you get the best reliability.
Sure. Makes
And
sense.
the AR mag, while it works today, is not the best part of that system.
Mm-hmm.
It's been made to work, but because of the weird curve and stuff, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'd love to see more stuff out of WBP in different calibers. 223 seems like it would be easy enough, except for...
You're definitely more likely to see that than 545.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that'd be cool. Yeah, I would totally be interested in a mini barrel clone.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
Yep. That would be the one that would interest me the most. That's it on questions, so we're good.
Yep. End of a year.
Yeah, right. Sorry for saying a bunch. I noticed I was doing it and I couldn't stop myself. But I'm working on it. I'm getting better.
But yeah, $1 and up, you can submit 1, 2, however many questions, and $5 and up, you can kind of suggest or request or commission a video to be built. That's our latest Patreon perk we've initiated for everyone.
Yep.
And we're gonna read the selections out in the next little table talk we do, and start working on those come January. We're gonna do a SHOT Show, like we said, kind of overview, and we have a few new things. It's just been a little difficult, guys. There has not been a lot come out, and what's come out isn't really up our alley. We're not big into commercial stuff. For the most part. I mean, it's just,
we did the 590M not too long ago, and
we have some, for sure. It's just, it's hard to do every minor AR variant that comes out, or every new stock, or
every new 9mm striker fired.
That too, yeah. Like, it's just the Masada. I think I just don't see the point. I mean, I'm not saying it's a good or bad gun. I just, with the market so saturated with polymer guns. And with IWI themselves already having a great gun in the Jericho, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seems like an answer looking for a question.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, we appreciate you all. The last couple of years of doing this Patreon gig and getting us a good set of questions for our final Q&A.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who asked. We'll do another one here and probably... February-ish will be the next one, but of course we'll let everybody know as soon as we're ready to post one up. So, but yeah, thanks everybody for contributing and for helping us out that way. If you're interested, check out the link in the description below. And obviously, as we post these threads, I send them out to everybody in a little message, and usually try to post a short video announcing it with the link as well.
Yeah, or mention it in whatever we're doing. Yeah. Let you know, but yeah, definitely check the Patreon stuff to see whatever's going on.
Yeah.
Sorry guys for not being 100% well today, but we wanted to get this out on time, and we already were meeting up, so did the best I could, and Guess that's about it, guys.
That's it. Yeah. If you like the video, please click like. Be sure to subscribe to us if you haven't already. If you're new to us, kind of helps us track our progress over time, and we appreciate every subscription we get. So, and then of course, check out the link to the Patreon if you're interested in asking some questions. So,
yeah. Alrighty, guys. This is Misha,
and this is Jay,
and we'll catch you very soon next time.
See ya.
He's running.